control point video. Now, I've decided to show you, even though I usually prefer to use things like kritzkrieg and quick fix on control point maps, I'm going to show you how to use a Medigun. I haven't really shown that off, and it's good to be able to be, well, to have the ability to use any Medigun in any scenario, really. At least have the basics and ability of it, as it will come in handy, and not one Medigun is going to fit every situation. The normal Medigun with its uber charge usually does well in every situation, for sure. But there are other Mediguns have advantages, but that's besides the point. Now we're gonna have a fresh new realm next, so I'm gonna be able to show you how to roll out in the way and how to play Medic from the very start with a Medigun, which I assume many new players, it'd be the only Medigun they can have. So I've been kind of neglectful in that sense, I'd say, not truly showing you what you can do, but I'm here to show you that. Now of course the first thing I'm going to do is realise that if you look on the top down right, compared to the other Mediguns I've been using, it's the slowest of them all. I've mentioned this in the past, but it takes about 40 seconds for Medigun to charge its overcharge compared to kritzkrieg's 30 and the quick fix 36. Now of course this is more worth it in my opinion, as the benefit you get from this is infinitely superior. But on outside control point, except for this as an example, it's gonna not be as useful as the kritzkrieg will charge much faster on control point maps, and on the ones where there's 5, it would allow you to just go from point to point with a more consistent thing, and killing people to get them off the control point is what's most useful. You also need to avoid scenarios like that, where we have our god tier heavy. I don't know how he got there, but he did. Now I'm not doing as good as I like, but I'm showing the advantage there. Once we get into there with the uber charge and start attacking them with our invincibility, we can get through anything. We can get through the sentries that have our control points on this map. And there are control point maps where they build sentries on the points. In uber charge in general is the only counter really to another uber charge, and a pyro can air blast you back, but overall the best counter to an uber charge is another uber charge, as you're more likely to have started it later if you're countering. Therefore, even if much of your team dies, you still counted an uber charge. They're going to have to take a while to build up, and in a lot of cases on maps like Payload for a defensive team, that's why Mediguns themselves do very good, because they are used to the store. But let's not talk about Payload here, but on control point map, specifically Powerhouse, which is a long annoying map, but it's still a control point map regardless, and will give me enough time to avidly show you. As you can tell here, we've got an Australian Medigun, which obviously means it's got more skill than me, so I should be attacking. Of course, we're just holding them off here. We're going to have to watch out for stickies now, because we've got a double team attacking us. One Jake, one. Of course, you want to watch out for lock and loaders, but they're quite predictable at this level of their skill, it seems. You can kind of predict what they're going to do. See, I managed to get myself a full uber charge here. Full uber charge. You should also point out that you have full uber charge when you do, as it's a good way to, well, alert your team for the full push. That demo man also just half doomed their team, I reckon, in a way. But start pushing up to the point. I've got an uber charge ready. Be specific as well. A lot of times in casual, they're not the smartest and brightest of the bunch, as you can tell here, but they'll work with an uber charge. Anything really will. It's just that others are more efficient, better for the moment. The thing about an uber charge is it terrifies people, rightfully so, I'd say, but it's also incredibly low to charge due to this bonus. And as a medic, you're very vigilant. You've got to be very diligent when you're being hunted. For example, it's good to pop an uber to save your life if it has to come down to it. Oh, that's just cheap now. We have a full guy in JoJo attire here. Ola, 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 ola. Yeah, I'm going to be looking for things like him, soldiers and heavies in general, do more for the Uber charge, because you don't have any damage bonuses, and they have no worries about having to charge in, like the kritzkrieg, so they're able to do infinite, a good amount of damage essentially, thousands possibly, just by walking in. Because they don't have to worry about being killed by a sentry. Once the sentry falls, the rest of your team can dash in, and, well, the enemy defense just falls downhill from there. It's also another thing you have to worry about is annoying scouts like this. Or, that was a sniper, but the guy earlier. Those scouts are either very jumpy and they seem to be able to dodge everything, but also doing infinite amount of damage. That guy's using the holiday, I believe it is. I don't know what it is, but the bat that shoots the Christmas ornament that makes you bleed. It's annoying, but it's much better than the Sandman alternative. And I'm trapped in the thingy here, but I've been just shot by him. Scouts, my worst enemy, honestly, except for spies. I'm not doing as good as I should be, but a lot of you probably don't come here for the gameplay. You come here for my useless tips. In a situation like this, it's best to, I believe, hold off and build your Uber. For example, this guy's not seemingly the best. I believe he's one of the bot thingies. And this guy seems to be recording like me, so subscribe to this guy, but that's besides the point. You have two heavies here, focus on them, and yeah, he was a spy, like I said. And they're also coming behind us, as we seem to be not watching our flanks, but in this case you should hang back, build your Uber up and use it when they go for push themselves. It will hold them off as much as possible and it will allow you to survive. Wait, I thought I got the health pack there. Yes, I was killed by his afterburn. That's unfortunate, but a lot of our team seems to be relatively new players. There was one of my Steam friends on there, but yeah. But like I said, even though a lot of what makes a good medic depends on his team, there's also a big difference between a skilled medic and an unskilled medic. Like, let's say an unskilled medic like me, but an unskilled medic, one who isn't entirely familiar with the class, would have a harder time staying alive in a lot of cases, because it does also depend on yourself. There are lots of medics who blame their team and get salty. Try to avoid being them, because there are some medic mains who have devolved due to the annoyance that comes with pubs. While I find a lot of the stuff in pubs that is more charming in a lot of ways, it can be very irritating to those who rightfully get annoyed at the death of themselves due to their team not paying attention. But I just put it down to me having to learn to be more vigilant and aware. Even if it isn't the case, it's what keeps me from being salty. And nobody likes a salty medic main, because in a lot of ways they're not meant to be salty. The most helpful class should not be, and it's worth to get annoyed sometimes, but having salty as your natural thing will just lead to you hating the class. And hating the class of medic isn't a good thing, because it's a fun class to play if you've started. It caters to a specific group of interest, but that's besides the point. Yeah, see, this is the situation I was talking about. I just got air blasted back. Should have expected that, as he has an Australian, and so he's obviously well versed, but you should also pay attention to the weapons your enemies have when it comes to skins. You know, it doesn't seem useful, it is. You've also been stabbed. Watch out for spies. Do not bump a spy to check them. Unlike what I do. Because hitboxes are very strange and spies always get face stabs. They'll call it a matador, convoluted name that a Starbucks we still have to listen to, but trust me, they're usually just face stabs due to the way hitboxes work. Retreating makes your hitbox further outwards than it is, so you should just avoid spies altogether. Much like what Uncle Dane said, a lot of the thing that keeps a medic alive will keep an engineer alive, and generally anyone alive in general, but they're more useful. Ooh, nice enough medic. More useful to be learned by a medic, because it's simply what's needed. Here we have another Jojo. Platinum Diamond, eh? Yeah, he's gonna go ahead, and if it doesn't get sniped, which you should, another one. This guy keeps coming behind us. That sucks. Yeah, that's another thing you should watch out for, what he was doing. Our scouts that are slower than average. understand why, but I explained earlier it's a small hitbox, but it's more obvious to be noticed by anyone with 2 brain cells or more than 100 hours experience. But yeah, right now we're not pushing them much, but they're holding off against us. It's in situations like these where the Uber charge would thrive, because it forces you to get an Uber charge in order to break that stalemate. Therefore Uber charge and Medigun in general is more useful here. You might think the quick fixes, but our teammates are not able to push because they're dying, and quick fix won't help overall because they have sentries. They do too much damage in a short amount of time to be healed even by a quick fix. And the 9 extra or the 8 extra healing it does isn't actually as much as you think. It's definitely a big improvement over time, but it's not like the be all end all of healing. There are superiors, like, as while it does offer a great heal speed, its Uber are quite laxing compared to the rest. This is an annoyance here. I just about got stabbed. Pyros are bane if you've got even a small amount of afterburn, because I believe they do 4 damage a second, while your healing only does 3 healing every 2 seconds, so well, you can survive a lot longer than other classes on lower health. You're going to die eventually if you don't get any healing. Unless you're using the degreaser, you can't out heal that. Yeah, see here, we're finally getting some action. This is where my healing can actually happen. Fortunately, I've just got out-skilled by the WM1, but I got burned to death. Yeah, that was some action going on there. If I had an Uber, we could have held a bit, but they keep coming behind us, unfortunately. Yeah, he's completely unaware of his surroundings, much like me. This match is going to go on quite a while, so I'll end it in about, say, when we complete this first match. If we ever do. This is Powerhouse after all, but yeah, stay back, stay in cover during situations of stalemates. They've most likely got someone who will attack you immediately and just heal over time. Build your Uber up on people who are lower health as it speeds up the time, and eventually the Uber charge will allow you to break and slowly break further. Retreat if you're taking significant damage. It's more worth your lot alive. Also aim your crossbow shots before and take a bit of time to think until eventually it becomes so natural. I'm still during that stage where I can aim, but I have to think of it. That's not entirely the best, but it works. Yeah, if you can, use enemy explosive damage knockback to your advantage to get out of a situation. It's not the brightest idea, and it can cause your death more times than none, but situations where it works, it gives you a huge advantage. Here comes their Uber charge. He also got a random crit on me, unfortunately, which is very irritating as medic, because you seem to attract random crits all the time. But as a medic, if you drop an Uber or near Uber, and just pick yourself up and realise that you survived long enough to get to that point, and now you can finally improve yourself, and eventually you'll never drop Ubers again, really, most of the time. Medic, like I said, is a class of disappointment and failure, but the learning curve is relatively steep, but once you get there, you're going to be a great asset to your team, and in competitive you'll actually get praised for it. I might even play a competitive match soon if I can find one, to give kind of a taste of what it could be like to get to that skill level. Obviously low competitive now isn't entirely useful, as well its placement matches are full of gibbuses, but at higher levels you will have genuine team helping you. I've heard, at least. I'm not at those high levels yet, but serious enough to give some help. Yeah, if you can, try and get a stab on the medic. It's fun to watch the little faces go down. They have a double combo here, it seems. They seem to be pocketing each other. While I didn't do the best I could have there, I did at least keep my team healed and overhealed. And I believe I've shown a way the Medi-gun to be used. I was a lot more reserved there, as I'm sure you noticed. A lot more timid, as I couldn't just pop an Uber of a crit fix to get out every time.